All right, then, since it's after 6, we can call the meeting to order. And we'll start with the invocation, if you'll join me in a short word of prayer. Heavenly Father, as we begin this meeting, we ask for your guidance. Help us speak with respect, listen with open hearts, and work together for the good of our community. Amen. Now, if you'll join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so our first item is to approve the minutes from our last meeting in August, which are in our packet if anybody needs to review those. Make any edits, but they looked okay to me. If we don't have any comments or adjustments, we could have a motion to approve them.
I'll move.
Thank you. Second. Thank you. So those have been approved. Do we have anyone to give a staff update?
The only thing that, Sean, they don't think you guys are they already were, Kim, the board, and the man, they were put together, and we haven't heard back from them. Caitlin, Thornton, we asked her if she works together, but they're in the planning stages of put a peak out sunrun together. And they're going to utilize the trail, so, I think that's a good thing, but it's for October 24th, is the last date that we, heard, but we have not heard back from us. It's gonna be like a fun run, a 5K and 1 mile. And you have the option to work. And we are going to utilize the water use path and most of the, I guess it'll take place near the North one.
Okay, and you said it was October.
October 24th is the last day that we have.
Okay,
It's Caitlin Thornton, and she was the one that was putting that together. And, he said if we ever, hear about things like this, especially since you guys were going to, on vacation, you know, about that, and try to keep you guys updated with it.
yeah, that would be great. Thank you. Okay, so we have just a few amendments to our bylaws to approve, and I pulled out the most pertinent sections here, so to amend that to say that we would meet at least quarterly, that doesn't mean we will only meet quarterly, but if we don't have new business that we need to bring forward, that we could meet less frequently if we wanted to. And then the option to have the Zoom meeting option for those unable to physically attend. And if you are attending by Zoom, that it would count towards quorum participation and that you would be allowed to vote. So I think those were the things we had discussed. Do we need any further discussion on those amendments?
I move we make both amendments. Same time, if I can do that.
I'll second.
Perfect. So approved. I'm just waiting for Kathy to catch up with her notes over here.
She appreciates it.
Okay, so I just wanted to bring everybody up to speed with, if you'll turn in your packet to it's a part of a email exchange that Terry and I had with Kenneth Clark at NCDOT. This is not the entire email exchange, but it's the most relevant portion of it. So the question that we asked him was related to the wetlands along 701 and how the proposed multi-use trail through that area may or may not impact wetlands. And he responded saying that there was a change, I think it was in 2023, to the federal definition of wetlands, and then the state has also recently adopted that definition. And he is saying that the area that was formerly classified as wetlands might no longer be, but they're doing kind of a cursory review, their environmental staff, and they will let us know based on what they're looking at, if they think it is or is not wetlands. And then once we have kind of their judgment on that, we can go from there. So the rest of the pages following just show, Terry found this part of the map from where this was the previous version of the trail that included the boardwalk, because it was going to be through wetland area. And that's what she and I sent to the DOT to Clint for his team to review. So the email he wrote back and said, hopefully it will no longer be considered a wetland and you can proceed with building normal, which means we would not need that boardwalk. If it is still deemed a wetland, then it could be filled, so without having to build a structure, but there would be mitigation cost. And if that ends up being the case, then the engineers would need to evaluate which route is more cost effective. So either filling in an edge of the wetlands and paying the mitigation cost, or alternately moving the path closer to US 701, which at that point DOT would require some sort of raised island for a separation from the roadway. So we have not heard back yet from the environmental team, but I just wanted to let you all know that they are looking into that for us, and hopefully we'll get some information. So you haven't heard back, have you, Terry? No. No. Okay. So that's where we are with that.
If I may add, when we were in Maine, we went to Boardwalk. And the walkway was sections on pylons. And if there was water, it rose up, and if there was no water, it set down. Maybe if we did that, if it's not environmentally messy of a wetlands.
Right.
That might be cheaper than filling in, and it provides the wetland that we know it to be, to remain wet.
Right.
I think environmentally, that would be better than filling in.
Right, depending on cost. And I mean, from what I looked at with the map, so I guess it was on US Fish and Wildlife Service, they have a digital copy of this map. And it sort of looked like, I mean, depending exactly on where the boundary of that wetland is, we might have enough space. And if we didn't have enough space, it would be 5 feet, 10 feet. So it wouldn't be, I think that's when it comes down to the question of what's most cost effective, keeping the environment in mind, of course, but yeah. So we'll just wait to hear from DOT and go from there, I guess. But if they do come back and say it could still be a wetland, we as a board might consider recommending that we actually have someone come out and do a wetland survey, so we know for sure. So just to keep that in mind. Calendars. We've been talking a lot about calendars and how to promote all the great recreational things that are going on. There is an Elizabethtown-White Lake Chamber of Commerce calendar, and I reached out to the woman who puts that together and asked how we would get events added to that. And she said, as long as the events were being hosted by a member of the Chamber of Commerce, that they would be happy to add them. We just have to send them her way. So most of the businesses on White Lake Drive look like they are members of that chamber. So I think we can work with them to sort of get a list of their activities together and then start sending them to the chamber, because they may just not know that's a resource that's available. So that could be one of the ways we help make that connection. I know that's something we've been talking about.
And this would include Friends of White Lake.
They're a member of the
And,
chamber.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
So maybe put the scavenger hunt on there,
We could, yeah.
at the time, we're not, so. I'll ask Kathy, it's that, because I think Kathy, she says Kathy has access to change it.
And I reached out, I tried to change it today, but it would not accept my email address. It said I did not have an account with the chamber. So, I reached out to Amy by email, but I've not heard back. And that was late this afternoon. But if I can do that, if I can put if I can do that through White Lake Friends, then, and I would think that the town government could do that anyway. I mean,
And we just have to be careful about which ones we advertise. It has to be town affiliated, because then we get into the.
Right.
Advertise everything, for everyone is holding something.
Right.
that makes sense.
But I think I remember Campbell Oil was a member of the chamber. We may want to let them know they could post their fun run on there. Help get the word out about that.
She said about that, and Sean, and you're kind of get the details together.
Mm-hmm.
I have to go here back.
Okay.
Yes, and insurance. And before you can approve it.
So is that only printed on a website, the chamber? They don't do like a flyer each month where they,
See. Seems like things are put together and it's definitely, you guys have like actual directory with things listed. But I didn't even see a place like that.
No, I have not. All my communication is online with the chamber.
where is the Chamber of Commerce in Elizabethtown? I mean, I've seen a sign somewhere, I think.
That they open those stuff.
Do you remember you know where the library is?
Yes.
In that bluish gray building that is kind of behind the parking lot of the library. It's right across the street from the old DMV office.
Yeah, okay.
That's where they are.
So then I think that brings us to the follow-up question about having our own community calendar, which is something that Kathy said she might be interested in taking on. But I think this is a good opportunity to talk about, do we need one? I just worry about you taking on, as a private citizen, a calendar that will never end.
That's true.
But
That's a good point.
I do think it's important, we do want to promote recreation in the area and figuring out the best way to do that. So,
Wouldn't it be reasonable to try to really make an effort? And even if we were assigned different businesses to contact and say, please get in touch with the chamber or share with them if you're doing, activities that you're doing, and before something like you did, let's see if we can get people excited about it, because I would think more publicized activities will bring them more business, because there'll be more people will be down here doing things. And I would think that's why you joined the chamber, is it to network and share information about your company.
This might be something that we should ask the White Lake Friends to look at, because that's a nonprofit organization, as you know, and it's unaffiliated with any government agency. And we could just get the word out that we have an open calendar. And if they will send us information, there could be, well, there's 9 people on the board right now. I mean, all 9 people with access to that page on the White Lake Friends, that tab, we could all put the information in. And I think it is better if we control, or if we just don't allow other people to put information up. That, we control what we put on the calendar, but then it would be accessible to the Recreational Advisory Board as well as to town government. Terry, you manage that right now. What do you think about? Is that doable?
Yeah. Yeah, and the things that I posted this week, like 3,000 views on one post, so it's growing. that website, it was. So, good place to start.
But I also, Susan, you mentioned like a print version. I could really see those being beneficial, particularly during the summer month.
Right.
If the motels in the area could have something, where you check in and they could see all the activities. And I'm not suggesting that's something that we need to do or that the Friends group would need to do, but maybe that's something we talk to the chamber about. Just a little, a month by month, here's what's going on.
Right. Just to grab their attention and be aware, and that would then make, next summer when I'm planning my vacation, they did it this time, so maybe I would want to come back during that, or I want to come a second time because I've got another activity, 3 weeks later that I want to do, so.
Mhm.
They even like the range, you want like.
Oh, yeah.
Is that something we could do as the advisory board?
I'm not sure everybody emphasizes. That's about.
Tony, yeah, Tony Strickland has offered that small billboard that she has for anything that the White Lake Friends would like. I'm sorry to integrate the two, but we are all on the same team in some ways. But if we had the calendar in advance of the summer, then I don't know, what do you think, Terry? It's a pretty good sized billboard.
Yeah, I don't know if it would be best to put a QR code on it. That,
Could it be updated constantly?
yeah, because I don't know how far in advance, like Jeff puts music up on,
Right.
so.
That's a great, yeah, you're always thinking smart. And something, she's always thinking beyond paper.
Yes.
That's good.
But you gotta have a QR code on a piece of paper somewhere for you to then get
Well,
the
the
information.
billboards have the QR.
Right, yeah, that would be great.
Or if the things were hanging out at the motels, have the QR code. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any place people are going to be. Mhm.
We can do that. We have posters out and about, not posters, but brochures out and about now. So we have brochures on the counter as you come in to pay your water bill. So I'm not thinking a brochure, but at least a list of activities. But I like the idea of the QR code because that can just change.
Yeah, that would be,
Would always be updated.
that's great.
So I don't know that this needs to be a motion, but I suggest that we talk to the White Lake Friends about managing the calendar.
Can I put that in a motion?
Do we need a motion?
Nope.
I don't know if we need a motion, but I was just gonna say, I'm not opposed to that idea, but also the businesses that are hosting a lot of the events are members of the chamber, so they can submit the events themselves. I'm just trying to not put so much on a volunteer group, I think it's generous for the White Lake Friends to offer to take that on, but just reminding the businesses that are members of the chamber where they can go and submit events, I think is also useful.
Absolutely.
Do they not?
She's demonstrating, I'm sorry, she's demonstrating that at the tourism meeting next month. Amy,
Okay,
our members can go on. So she'll have a recording.
okay.
Good.
But I do think we should bring up to the White Lake Friends, events they are doing, like the upcoming Trails Day, getting that, which I know you're working on that, so. And whatever events we do in February for. That's also Trails Day, different Trails Day.
Yeah. it is. So the October date is Great Trail State Day. And Great Trail State Coalition is sort of putting that together. I'm not sure who puts the festival trail days together. I mean, I know locally it's the tourism board, but I don't know. I don't know if it's like now TC or who does that.
Okay. But since we just mentioned Trails Day, this is a good time, and I think we're probably all going to the Friends meeting this weekend, but to remind everybody that we volunteered to help out on October 18th with the scavenger hunt. And maybe that would be an activity we could recycle again in February for that Trails event. So,
What we need for trail, for the Great Trail State Day. There'll be 10 stations starting on 53 around the corner at Camp Clearwater, because we want them, like, station number one is going to be about East Coast Greenway.
okay,
And there'll be a coloring sheet and the kids have to color the East Coast Greenway logo. But there'll be 10 different stations for them to go to on the sidewalk here on White Lake Drive. So if y'all will volunteer to sit at one of the stations, it'll be coloring or color pencils, or they'll be learning about the different flora and fauna. So we're making it educational. Grown-ups don't know, they will learn too, but it's gonna have a lot of hands-on for kids. And if it's okay with the town, we'll put the tent here in your front yard. For people to get the coloring book. Grace Trust that Coalition has put together.
That's on October 18th.
From 3 to 5. So yes, volunteers at those stations. We'll put my campaign signs up with a piece of paper folded over them. And that'll be the information.
Sounds good.
But that's a really good idea to do it.
twice.
You've got it.
Yeah.
So just do it again for Trails Day.
Mm-hmm.
I found helpful too. And different like fundraisers, if you advertise other events that currently, you have some of the same people.
Right.
Speaking to make sure you have advertising those events for your upcoming events.
That's a good idea too.
Is it good? Because it is the same people, but.
Yeah,
There's going to be a Wetland County Tourism Summit, I think maybe what it's called, October 14th at Wetlands, and all of the businesses that deal with tourists are going to be there. I think the guy from Uplift, who is like the tourism guru, is going to be presenting. There'll be a question answer round table too. So it's from 8:30 till noon.
that's gotta be during the week, right?
So Tuesday. Tuesday morning. I'm going with boys and family.
I won't be able to be here, but I wonder if those who are local, should we have a presence there to make our board known to the businesses who do recreational activities?
I think it's a great.
I was just thinking the same thing, if we needed somebody there at that meeting.
Well, Susie, I think so, I'll be her.
Okay,
And
Susie,
I'm
Susie it is.
So, yeah, if we need 2 tables, we'll have 2 tables, but White Lake Friends is gonna have a table. So we can put this advisory board beside that.
And I think that might be a good not only introduction for our board, but as we're talking to people to remind them about the calendar, to talk about our ideas for promoting recreation, particularly, this is kind of a slower time of the year, but thinking of forward to 2026. And if they can start sending things that we can help promote. So thank you, Susie. Oh, that also reminded me, I have been in touch, I think her name is Katie, is the young woman who's starting the local run club. And she was very interested in our group. We kind of got together too late to get her on the agenda for this meeting, but she said she would be interested in coming in October to talk to us if we're receptive to that. So we can hear about what she's doing to get the club started and maybe brainstorm some ways to help her get information out and get more interest in that club. So if we're okay with that, I'll reach out and let her know she could come to October's meeting. Good. Any other new business we want to talk about? Kathy did bring the list of activities that we brainstormed when we had our informal kind of Zoom brainstorming session. But then I think I heard from several people on the committee that maybe instead of us taking these events on, we needed to talk to the local businesses and come up with things they're doing. And I think most of the things on this list that we came up with are things that, you know, the Trails Weekend in February, the Turtle Trot, if White Lake Friends wants to do that again, helping out with the Waterfest. These were things that we would likely be involved in anyway, but, you know, it might be best if we, again, just kind of work with the local businesses and start to promote the things they are already doing instead of us trying to take more work on as a committee. But I'm happy to pass this around if we want to revisit this idea. Or maybe it'd be good just for everybody to have the list of ideas because they were good ideas.
Back to the idea of the table, do we need a banner or something? Okay.
With the like symbol on it. You think anybody from the town would go to that summit? I'll be glad to go with you, Triple John first. That's the one that's supporting, BCC. You can go on the small business page of BCC and Magis. Check with my baby, see what's going on. Okay,
Yeah, I think we could just make like the front of this. Recreation Advisory Board.
Sean didn't go to the conference, he's going to report back to us, and nothing Terry talked about this morning pertains to. We have that, I couldn't go with it, but. At the end of your business, you need to start looking at a calendar and see when you want to meet in November and December.
Well,
Or if you want to take off November and December.
right, since we've moved to quarterly meetings, I propose we go ahead and meet in October because that would be the first month of the quarter. And then we can determine if we need to meet in November and December, but you're right that if we do, we'll have to move those dates because of holiday conflicts. So,
And, holiday conflict, not just nearby, but.
right,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be able to make the October meeting
okay,
conflict.
which I think Susie will be, but we do need to look, we hope, we do need to look for a new member. And I don't have any ideas, so this is just kind of a reminder to all of us to be thinking of who we can recruit to join our board.
The first one is Robin Palmer. She is real involved in anything Clinton and could bring good ideas from Clinton. She's probably on a view. I asked Ross Huggins, and he said with baby, he just didn't feel like he always like to do it this year. But in the future, they definitely wanted to. And he suggested Matt Hoover. And I messaged Matt, but I didn't get a response, so I'll see him tonight. But he's in his twenties.
Agreed.
Nothing against any of you, but just see one blood. With ideas of what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I asked my son, and if his work schedule had not changed, he would have demanded frisbee golf somewhere on the trail. So that may be an idea down the road.
Yep.
And rides on the trail, I've heard a lot. Back to the, we need another one.
Yeah. Is there any other new business that didn't make it officially onto the agenda? Well, hearing none, we can invite public comment if anyone out there who hasn't said anything would like to comment.
I was supposed to be quiet until now. Nancy, you have anything? You look at the phone.
Well, if there's no additional business, I suppose we could have a motion to adjourn, although I'm not trying to rush us out of here if there is anything else we need to discuss. I move to adjourn. Okay, then.
1 second.
8 seconds. So quick and easy. We'll see you in October.